Rabbi Sai, we're holding in Zevachim Daf Kuf Vov, starting a new parak. Hashoichet ve'amale b'chutz. Someone who is shoichet u'male b'chutz, which means he is taking a behemoth of hegdish and he's doing shchita or doing ha'alah, putting on the mizbeach outside of Beis Hamikdash. Chayav al shchito v'chayav al ha'alah is going to be chayav on each. On shechting, what? He made his own mizbeach outside, basically, yeah. He did shchita, he did ha'alah. He's chayav on both cases. He's chayav on both because this is a Isur D'Oraisa, as we'll see in the Gemara. Today's daf, the daf is going to ask, what is the source? What is the source for shchita and ha'alah? Where does that come from? So, outside. You're not allowed to do shchita and ha'alah. This village it says, you do shchita and ha'alah, you have to do shchita, do akrova. But if you do it outside, one is chayav. Right? He's chayav. You have two averis. One is shchita, one is ha'alah. So basically, if he did shchita inside, and then he did ha'alah outside, so that's when he's going to be chayav. But shachad b'chutz ve'ela b'chutz, if he did the shchita outside, and he did ha'alah b'chatz potter, shelo yehelo d'var pasol. Once you did shchita outside, it's already pasol. It's a bad carbon.
It loses the din of a carbon.
So now I do ha'alah, I'm doing ha'alah not in the carbon. No, you can't eat it maybe. Pashas you can't eat it. It's a different discussion. But the ha'alah doesn't work anyways. It's not. You don't have the Isur D'Oraisa of ma'ale kotshim b'chutz. Amulai, so I told him, even if you do it inside, if you take an animal out of Beis Hamikdash, you take a meat, you make it possible. So if I took a din shchita, you took the dead animal outside Beis Hamikdash, so the meat took it out, it became possible. So again, the same thing. What's the difference between if I did shchita outside and it's possible, or I did shchita inside, I took it outside? So therefore what? So what does the Rabbanan say? You see from here, that's what the Torah is mechayev. We're going to learn psukim, the Torah, the psukim tell us that one is chayav and doing ha'alah b'chutz. Shaila is, what will be the scenario the Torah says ha'alah is chayav? You have to say, that's a concept that we have in Shas, behachi chiyev rachmon. That's what the Torah is mechayev, which means, you're right, really it's possible. The Torah says if you did it, you're still chayav. So meaning, every time you do ha'alah of a korban outside, it will be possible. Either because you shecht it outside, or even if you shecht it inside, you took it outside. So Rabbanan says no difference between the two. Now basically, disagrees. He holds no. You did shechita outside, so then it's completely disqualified. You did shechita inside, you took it outside, you still chayav. You have to see in the Gemara why does he argue. The Gemara brings Mishnah brings a similar concept. Hatomish yochal, someone who's tameh, who ate ben kodesh tameh, ben kodesh tahor chayav. Doesn't matter. There's an Isur D'Oraisa for someone who's tameh to eat kodesh. Now eat kodesh if he's tameh. That doesn't matter if the kodesh was already tameh or not already tameh. He's still chayav. Basically, I may know. If he ate tar, you chayav. I agree. So I don't say once he's tameh and he ate something tameh, he didn't make it worse. It was tameh anyway. It was already tameh. So therefore, you're not going to be chayav with it. You have tameh shachal the Torah kivan shenoga b'tibu. So 1 second, even when you're tar, or if you're tameh, you're taking tar, and once you pick that up, what happens to it? Well, it becomes tameh. So it became tameh. Elama be'achi chiyav rachmana. The Torah said, if you are a tameh and you eat kodesh, even though the kodesh became tameh, it's still chayav. It doesn't matter if it became tameh when you touched it or became tameh before. So we'll see again the Gemara where they are. The tar shachal tameh, but the Mishnah concludes if you have an adam tar that ate tameh, potter that we saw earlier in Masechta and Daf Lamed Dalet, she'einu chayav ela tu b'saguf. You chayav only when the adam is tameh, not when the food is tameh. So the food is tameh, and the Torah eats it. Zog dein lekegmore, bishno mohelo ksiv oynesh v'ksiv azor. So bishno mohelo, I find oynesh and I find azor. We'll end the daf today, Be'ez Hashem, with understanding why we need hazor. But One thing we see throughout Shas, happens throughout many places in Shas, Psechas Makis has one of the places in Mokamo. Whenever you have a punishment, and you have to have a warning. So Gemara says, someone who did halal, like put a carbon outside Beis Hamikdash, you have both, you have azar and you have halal. You have azar and you have oynish. It says a warning, it says a punishment. Where? Let's see. Says you don't bring it to the entrance of Oil Moed. Pasuk there says, and that's a pasuk. If you look at the side in the Gimel, so it says you'll get cursed. Clearly, that's the boinish. Pasuk says, be careful, don't do oilus outside Beis Hamikdash. So it says a warning and it says a punishment. Whenever it says the words Yishomer, Pen, Al, it's all a loisase. Meaning, if I tell you I'm warning you, be careful, it's a loisase. It says by shchito, there's a mistake over here in the psukim. It says, but there's another pasuk regarding specifically chatos. It says the pasuk here it says the pasuk that what you're not allowed to do shchita outside. What does it say? Azara. What does it say? A warning. It says lo yizbechu oid. So the pasuk says another pasuk lo yizbechu oid zivchem asim shemzonim. They won't do zvicha anymore to the seiri. What it says, don't do zvicha in the wrong place. Says the Gemara about Baile, we did different drush for this pasuk. Look at that blood. So we have a thing like this. This is Mesechus Avodah Zarah. We didn't learn this together because we started in hurries. But Mesechus Avodah Zarah, it says that when you have a Avodah Zarah, we learn from the Torah, you have a Yisur to worship Avodah Zarah the way everybody worships it. So what's the way they worship Markulis? Everybody know how Markulis has been worshipped? They throw stones in it. Originally, Islam, the Muslims, they took over when Mecca. Till today, they have in Mecca. They throw stones in Mecca, and it comes. They converted that of the Zohar. It was the Zohar, and they converted it into Islam. But the throwing stones is of the Zohar Markulis. What happens if a person did a shechita of an animal to Markulis? That's not the normal way to worship it. He took an animal, he shechted it, he says, this is for the Zohar Markulis. So that's a chiddush over here in the pasuk. That's not the normal way. So maybe you're not bichayav. Torah says you are. How do you know you're chayav? That's the pasuk. This pasuk. They won't do zvicha l'siyum for the Zohar. Not talking about the normal way to worship it. Already says a pasuk. I want to do the same thing like a goyim. Now we know it's not a normal way. So I need a pasuk for that. You have two drushes. One is for Avodah Zarah, and one is to tell you don't do zvicha. The Yisur la for regular zvicha. So the Gemara we need for something else. Get it time. It says the right. So it's like this. That's all good when you have kachim that were sanctified, and the time that you're not allowed to do karbonis outside. Take a carbon. Was supposed to go to Beis Hamikdash. He was magdish for Beis Hamikdash. Bring it to Beis Hamikdash. You did it outside. You did it. But as more says the Kupa on base, Sharei on Shabamu Pesach Oil says he didn't bring it to Oil Moed. Different psukim over here, which pasuk we're referring to. We're not going to go into that. The cheshbonis. Hazaro dichtiv yishom alachot betalei olesecho. Again, this pasuk is talking about the halal, but really the pasuk should be the hazara of v'lo yizbechu. Hazara, the warning of doing zvicha. We're talking now about zvicha, not about halal. But mikan what else? What about Zevachim shigdishu b'shas esed bomos v'ikriyu b'shas esed bomos? How do I know what if a person sanctified a pehemo during the time the Beis Hamikdash was not built yet? Wasn't built yet. Okay, then I could go and use it, be back of it, and then Beis Hamikdash was built. So okay, well, it's already Kodesh. You could do it outside. For that, I need a pasuk. Shenamar l'mar she'aviu bnei Yisrael zivchem Hashem Zevachim Zvorchim shitadecho apnei hasoide. Right? Because the pasuk says, the Beis Yisrael will bring the Zevachim that they are Zevachim. What is Zevachim and Zvorchim? So shitadecho kvar apnei hasoide v'chaz zuvech b'shai sur moemes ma'aleh alav v'kosuf kilu kru apnei hasoide. If you do it when the time you're not allowed to be makrivit in the, meaning Beis Hamikdash is built, as if you did it in the fields. As if you did it outside, Shalom Shabbat. If you la Hashem, so it says to say, to bring it to Hashem. How do you know you're not allowed to do it outside? The same pasuk that we just said. Yachol onish kars can be he gets cars in it. It says zois. So what is the word coming out? This pasuk that says Lois teaches you an isser for an animal that was hegdesh when Beis Hamikdash was not built yet. And you're still not allowed to be makriv outside. Someone who does makriv outside doesn't get chorus like an animal that was mukdash b'shas Beis Hamikdash.
It was Magdash an animal when they were still using bummers.
Yes.
Then the Beis Hamikdash was established, and he still went and used the bummer.
Yeah. So there you have a lav. Where's the lav come from? Lois b'chuoid. Hi, what about chorus? Chorus, we have a special pasuk, you don't have chorus in that case.
Are they trying to learn Halal and Zvicha from the same pasuk?
No, here's only Zvicha.
So they were doing away with the previous drasha?
Right, the Gemara is asking, that drasha I need for this. Now the Gemara, the Brisa does bring a pasuk of Allah. So Tais already asked, but that's the pasuk of Allah. We talk about Zvicha. Says Tais says you're right. We're going to go to the Maskana of the Gemara. They're going to learn both of the same pasuk. We'll get to that in a moment. So this Brisa is already after. We're still building it up. The Gemara is like without listening too much to the Brisa. Forget about the Brisa a second. What am I learning for the Brisa? When did the Brisa learn the Azar? Lois b'chuoid. Lois b'chuoid. I have two Azars. Lois b'chu v'loy oid. So one is for the Zara. One is was haikdish v'shatz hetabamas. So how do I know Azara for a regular animal that has? And from there we get chorus. So says the Gemara now an answer, which is a little perplexing because we know that many times in Shas the Gemara is looking for Azara. We never went this way, this method. The Gemara tries this method now. Elo Omar argues as Ravav in the back says as Abaye kal v'chomer. Kal v'chomer. Uma b'mokom shaloi onash hizir. Mokom sha'onash enodin shehizir. Meaning like this. When you have what we just said, you take an animal shaloi b'shas yisur bomas. You take an animal there's no yisur, and then you go and you do a krov zvicha shchito in the time of yisur. Is there a einish? Is there a zara?
What's the case again?
He sanctified it in the time the Beis Hamikdash was not built yet, and then Beis Hamikdash is built. Is there a lav? Yes, we just learned the lav. Is there a punishment of chorus? No, because we said there's no chorus. So in the case when the Beis Hamikdash was already built, there is a chorus. We saw already before from the pasuk before. So of course there will be a zara. If when I have only a warning, I don't have a punishment. A place that have a punishment, of course, I have a warning. So as if I learned the warning for kal v'chomer.
Meaning because
You don't have
we
a
know
pasuk
that
for the
by
warning.
there's a
I don't have a pasuk for the warning, learn for kal v'chomer.
because we know the chorus by the time it's English, obviously there's a chorus.
Obviously there's azar. Obviously there's a warning. Azar.
The Einish you have, right?
The Einish is already written. Because I know there's a punishment, so there's azar. So the Gemara learns to kal v'chomer. Says the Gemara, says that according to your logic, that you can learn a hazara, a warning, so I have a question. Let's learn lav from chaylev. Don't say a warning by chaylev. What's chaylev? A fat of the animal. Anybody who eats a fat, the Torah says you have hazara, don't eat fat. And there's also a punishment of karis. Why do you need to have a hazara? Why do you have to have a warning? You show him kal v'chomer. It takes kal v'chomer from what? From nevelo. And nevelo, there's no karis. Someone who eats a dead animal, it's a isur lav, terrible isur, but it's not karis. So look like this: if a nevela that there's no punishment, there's a warning. Chaylev, there's a punishment. Of course, there's a warning. Says the Gemara, nevela shaloi onash. As the Gemara says it, the Gemara specifies. Maniveh shaloi onash. Easier. There's no punishment. There's a lav. Chaylev shalonesh and edin sheizir. So good question. If you look at the Chaylev, also come in front of Bravo.
That's the whole shadow. Why the Torah gave a pasuk for the Azara?
Yeah.
Don't we have a call that Davar Shabbat Bakal Chemer?
So sometimes we say it's not a good question. When do we use it? When not? At least for that question, it's a good question. So you came from Nevela. You don't learn from Nevela. Tikale mifach mal Nevela sheken mitame. I'll tell you the difference. Can't learn from Nevela kal v'chemer. You know what? You're right. You're right that chaylev is more severe, more chomer than Nevela, right? Because chaylev has curse. But you know, Nevela has something that Nevela has something that chaylev doesn't have. Nevela, there is tumah. Someone touched a nevela, carries a nevela, becomes tummy. Chaylev, you don't. So that's why you can't look at the There's something in nevela is more chamer. Says the Gemara. Mishrat Sitrei. What about Shrat Sitrei? Now here, when I give the daf last night, that's why we're using the new recording, because the recording of last night, we got stuck here for like 5 minutes. What is the Gemara asking? When I was praying, I didn't realize this. What is Shrat Sitrei? Let's over Shrat Sitrei. Dead Shratzim. Dead Shratzim costs tumah.
Right.
So it's the same question. And the Gemara says, Shrat Sitrei should be tam b'mashu. Shrat Sitrei, they're mitame even a small amount. Why you have to give them a small amount? They're mitame. The same answer you have in nevela.
So,
again, what is going to say? Let's look at the choymer by chaylev from nevela.
Right.
It's one known if he lives mitame, you can't learn everything. Okay, let's do Shrat Sitrei. Shrat Sitrei is also mitame. The Gemara is a little different. One says because Shrat Sitrei mitame b'mashu. Why you have to get the mashu? So I found doing this year, we're looking through ours, is a Taisis and Chulin. This sug is brought down Chulin, a little different version. Taisis and Chulin says, you're right, take away the word b'mashu. The mashu doesn't, it brings our Gemara. The mashu doesn't mean again. So really, the Gemara is asking the question twice. That happens when it has the shas. Whereas, let's over Nevela, you can't learn because it's tummy. Let's over Shratzim, same problem. Shratzim is metam. And that builds up to the next answer. That's a Tosh's law. I saw now, that's what I was checking before the shir, that I think the Sefer Torah is a Kodesh. He wants to say a cheshbon that maybe Shratzim is different because the difference between Shratzim is that Shratzim, when they're alive, they're not metame. So that's why it's not so metame. What? Nevela, the definition of Nevela is dead. Shratzim, the definition is not dead. So it's another way to say it, but we have Taisis and Chulin. The better to say goes Chulin. What?
What's Shratzim Torah?
Oh, so because that's very gishmak. So the Gemara says Shratzim Torah don't cause any tumor ever.
Live Shratzim?
No, Shratzim Torah is there's a shetz which is called a tar shetz. There's a list of it. I think it's a frog is a shetz tar. Right, there's a list of shorts that don't cause tar.
Wow.
A lizard, I think. Hey, Rashi brings it. It's Tzvaydev and Imol. An ant and a frog don't cause tumor. Okay. So Gemara says you can learn from the things that cause tumor. So that's why you say does it cause tumor. Sharet star, if you eat it, there's azar. Be careful. Laugh. There's no chorus. So learn techelav that is chorus. Of course, you have azar. Vishwatzu toirim. Malashwatzu toirim. Shisurim mashu. That's what he says. That's what the Gemara said before mashu was a mistake. But you know what's unique about shwatzu toirim? The Isra is even something small. A very small amount. You're already Isra.
Versus Nevela.
Nevela, it's kazais. Chaylev, it's kazais. Says the Gemara, we're talking about Chaylev. Says the Gemara, okay, so let's learn Orlo v'kili akir. Orlo, the first 3 years of the tree. Or kilaim, there's the lav, you're not allowed to eat it. And there's no curse. Ma'alo Orlo v'kili akir, shekin asurim ba'ano. There's another thing that Orlo v'kili akir have, the Chaylev doesn't have. You can't enjoy it. You have to burn it. Chaylev, you can give it to a guy. Bishvi, that's what for Shmita. Ma'ala Shvi, she get to Fez Dameh. Shmita is unique that whenever you exchange Shmita for money, the money has Kedusha Shvis. Mitruma, it's over Truma. She can lo yutor michlal. Truma is never mutter. Mashayik Chaylev, there is Chaylev which is mutter. Which Chaylev is mutter? Which fat you're allowed to eat? Chaylev Chayo. The Chaylev, the fat of a non-domestic animal, is not us. Only Be'ema. It says when we cool in the Abish, you can learn Trumichlon. This whole list is never mutter. Arl is not mutter. Kilayim is not mutter. So again, you're asking a question. If you have a couple of here, let's learn. I don't have a question. The question is slugged up. This was bothering me. How did not Pesach umilo mitzvah say? You say Pesach and Milo or both mitzvah say. Now here's interesting. We're gonna get to that Be'ezer Hashem in a few months. We're gonna learn together. We're gonna learn a few more Masechtas. We're gonna get to Maseches Krisis. And how does Maseches Krisis start? The first Mishnah. There's 36 creases in the Torah. 36 places where one can get chorus. 34 of them are a lois aseh. Don't do this, don't do that. But 2 of them are aseh. Which are the 2 asehs? Pesach and Milah. Pesach and Milah, 2 asehs. First has to do the Pesach. It has to do Milah. He didn't do it, he gets chorus. So I think one asks, 1 second, why is it only aseh, not a lois aseh? What's a lois aseh? When you have a warning. Let's do kal v'chomer and have a warning. You say that if I have chorus, kal v'chomer, they have a warning. So let's say every time you Pesach and Milah, I should have a warning. And if it's not aseh, it's a lois aseh. The Mishnah Krisa says that 2 of the creases.
That makes it a lois aseh.
This is by having einish. I have a kal v'chomer that has a lois aseh, has a azor. What's a azor? Azor is a warning. That's a lois aseh. Any azor means don't do it. Don't.
Or do it.
Yeah, but Pesach.
Do
Pesach
Milah.
so basically, so right,
If you don't,
even though it's Shabbat Daisa, Shabbat Daisa means don't stay still, don't stay idle, get up and do Bismillah.
Every lois aseh is also an aseh.
No, because you don't have Kavachomer. The Kavachomer we just said, well, the one established now. Remember, what is the sugya? What are we getting from our sugya? What we getting from our sugya is that you see over here this idea that whenever I have a chorus, so Kavachomer I have a lois aseh. That's what he just did. So he says, you're coming and telling me there's a phenomenon. Pesach and Milah are unique. They are chorus, but they're not a lois aseh. Why not? Kavachomer they're lois aseh.
You're saying by default they're considered lois aseh because they have an asara, so therefore they're
No, again, you're getting mixed up. Now Azara, because they have chorus. Because they have a punishment, Kavachomer, they have a warning. Which is a lois aseh. Warning is a lois aseh. Warning means a warning, don't do. Like I said before, Shomer lois aseh. So where is the warning? In fact, you have chorus. Let's say the warning inside.
So it's implied. It's implied.
Yeah, it's Kavachomer. Kavachomer. Now that we learned that you have no, again, that's the whole idea of Kavachomer. What is it going to say? We don't have a lois aseh by shoichet outside Beis Hamikdash. Say, don't worry about it. I don't need a warning. If it has chorus, Kol Sheket has a warning.
Let's apply it across the board.
Huh?
All asehs.
Yeah, every aseh has chorus, which is only 2 cases. Says the Gemara again. Ikashi, here's my question. How did that Pesach Milah mitzvah say? Teisiv Kavachomer, mi moisir, let's do Kavachomer from something who lives nicer. Out of Pesach. Why that can be nicer? So today's ask, why that can be nicer? Just learn for everything. Because I want to speak about Shabbat Daisa. I want to do something you didn't do anything wrong, you just didn't do the right thing. What is nicer? You didn't eat and you left it. Ma moisir shaloi onash. There's no chorus. Easier, there's a lav, loiser siru. Pesach Milah sha'onash is a chorus, ain't no din she'ezer. No, Kavachomer. So that's the pircha on this Kavachomer.
And again, what would we benefit from let's say this was,
So we don't benefit. We just had a rule. The Mishnah Maseches Krisis tells us there's 2 mitzvahs assays that have a chorus. It's 2 unique things. They don't have a lois aseh. But that's true according to you. Every time you have a chorus, Kavachomer, you have a lois aseh.
And it wouldn't change the deen in it.
Maybe it will change something, but that's not the question of the Gemara. Says the Gemara. We spoke to Rav Kahana. You can't learn from Noiser. Very different. Noiser, once you left it overnight, you're done. It's over. But Pesach, there is a scenario to fix it. Pesach Sheni. And by the way, Milah as well. Milah, if you didn't do Milah, you can do it later. Yeah? Torah Pesach, and they add over here on the side, Pesach Milah, I believe. There's Tess. Pesach, no, that's the same. Pesach Sheesh Takana. So that's a problem. So the Gemara says that's a strong question. But the Gemara has a much stronger question. This is the question of all questions. You never learn a lav of Kavachomer. That's a rule. Even if you learn that you punish the Kavachomer, and that's Rashi quotes the Gemara in Makkas. The Gemara in Makkas brings regarding how do you know? It says the Gemara in Makkas speaks about if you have a half sister. The Torah says half sister, meaning a sister which you share a father. You have a problem of relations. You have a sister for the mother, problem of relations. What about both? A full sister, Kavachomer, Ein Mazir Min Adin. But punishment you may do. It's a machlekes over there. So I feel about doing Shivin Adin, Ein Mazir Min Adin. So how do I know again the lav of shechting outside? It says by Shchito, it says Razashi brings, it says Lo Hiviu, and by Allah it says Lo Hiviena. So you look at the same way by Allah you have a warning, you have a hazara. The punishment goes only after hazara. Also here you have to have a hazara. We have kuzayin without a tap. Robo Homa Kedab Yoino. Toma Abiyoni, another Xerashava Asya Shom Shom, because it says Shom Talo Yosecho, Visham Tase Kol Hashem Tzeveko. So Tal is Allah, Tas is any other Asiyas. Malo Allah Hashem Kenizir, V'kal Hashem Kenizir. So the Gemara answers that really it's Xerashava, two ways of Xerashava. How do I know a warning for Shaitan? I want to conclude with the following. Tonight is the Yurtzeit of Rebbe Rabbi Shapiro Zatzal. Rabbi Shapiro. Sorry, Batavis. So, say a word in his name that has to do with this Gemara Babish. Shai is like this. The Gemara is so bothered by working with, you have to have a hazor, you have to have a warning. Why do you have to have a warning? But Dua, what's the reason? What's the because? So really it's already a chiduch. The chiduch tells us that the reason why we have a rule of Ein Shil Kemazirim is because you would think to yourself that I have two ways. Because Baruch gave me a choice. I can do a mitzvah, get rewarded. I can do an avera, get punished. Both equal choices. Either get rewarded or get punished. Maybe I can choose either or. Furthermore, that's where Moshe had it. Because we really know, as many of the G'dei Kubbali, the Leshva speaks about it a lot, we know that we believe every Jew will get eventually to Olam. Some will get it in a straight path. They do mitzvahs, they're going to get aided, they go to Olam. And some will need to go through other ways. They'll have to go through Gehenna, you have to go through Chivuti HaKever, they have to go through Gilgulim, but eventually everybody's getting there. So you can add to it. You don't have two paths in front of me. I have a path to do the right thing, or I could go the other way, but I'll get to the same place. So maybe I can choose either or. Says the Chiduch, that is what the warning is all about. Says the Torah Azara, don't do it. Shem tells you, I don't want it. As the Pasuk tells you, I give you the good path, the bad path. Choose the right path. I want you to, even though it's going to both equal, so to speak, choose the right one. As the Beis Halevi says, we used to quote the Beis Halevi brings on Chumash. It says that Schar mitzvah, that's the mission. Schar avera. Zuk the Beis Halevi, don't try the Beis Halevi. Schar mitzvah means the reward of a mitzvah is a mitzvah as well. Because Baruch Hu wants to give you the reward. So by you doing the mitzvah, not only you doing a mitzvah, but you're getting Hashem to reward you, then that's what He wants to do. So that's a mitzvah as well. Schar avera. When you do an avera, it's not only that you did something wrong. The fact that Baruch Hu punishes you is also an avera, because Baruch Hu doesn't want to punish you. So that's the idea of Hazor. And Oichi Lekem Azirin. Because I would punishment and say, okay, so it's a free. I know that I'm supposed to. I can get a punishment. Yeah, that's part of the deal. It's like, if you park over here, you get a fine of $100. Okay, I'm willing to do it. No, don't do that. And that is the idea. That's a very batim in our sugya. Where it says people will look at the chaymer. If the Torah told you that you get punished, and then it says you don't do it, at a place you don't get punished, it says don't do it, you look away from each other. Where it says you don't do it, but that is the idea of the Hazar, to teach you what Hakadosh Baruch Hu actually wants from you is to choose the right path. Even though both paths lead to the same destination, the Baruch Hu wants you to choose the right path. So we should be zoicha always to choose the right path. That's obviously the sugya of Ein Oichim El Kemazirin. I must have the Hazar. Say, go, Rabbi.